Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's live stream. Well, bit of a shock there. I was just fiddling around starting the stream up, realised I hadn't started playing the little video. So you'd have had a little bit of me at the start and then into the video. How are we all this week? How are we all getting on? Just checking with what I can see on my screens. I've got all my screens going. So we've got Ricardo, welcome to you. Blonde Scales 1 coming to us from Arkansas, welcome to you. Oh, bit of a cooler day here in Perth. We've had a few warm days, and today it's that cold. Even my Perth fingers are cold today. What I thought I'd talk about today when I was looking through for today's video is a few weeks ago somebody asked, what are the biggest mistakes that I've made with my fountain pens? And I thought, yeah, that sounds like a good topic for us to have a chat about today. So that's what I thought I'd cover today. Not sure how well we'll go. I mean, it's a brilliant idea. I've actually come up with some thoughts for it as well, which is unusual. Look, I've even got some thoughts written down. So my biggest mistakes. The first thing I'm going to say is, and this is going to sound really, really arrogant, I haven't made any mistakes. Now, why am I saying that? The way I look at it, mistakes, I'm also going to equate this with failures as well, is you don't make a mistake, you don't fail if you learn something from it. And everything I've done, everything that's not gone as I wanted, I've actually learned something from it. And this is why I'm saying I don't really think of them as mistakes. I think of them as learning opportunities. So when we're talking through this, it's going to be more, I'll be talking about what I learned as opposed to the fact that it's a mistake. Just quickly going back to the comments. So we've got greetings from the Big Apple. Welcome, John. BJ, welcome to you. Blonde Scales 1 is currently wet, but Monday will get much cooler. Oh, I'm hoping our weather will warm up. I'm fed up of being cold. I mean, we had a few nice days. But I mean, at the moment, it's 15 degrees. That's Celsius, so fairly cool. Welcome to Will from Texas. Welcome to you as well. Okay, let's go back. So, what things have I learned from? What things am I going to do different? The first is this. I'm just going to fetch it up closer to the camera. This is the Conklin All-American, and it's in golden walnut, so it's a wooden pen. The nib on here is actually a Jinhao nib at the moment. I swapped it out, and it's a cartridge converter. Now, one of the things I do like, if I can't even get the converter out. The converter screws in, so I do like that. I think that's brilliant. You don't have to worry, like with, say, my Kaweco Sport, where the converter actually comes out. Once that's in, once that's screwed in, that's a nice solid fit there. I love the look of the pen. I love this wooden look. Again, let me just fetch this up. Just get that on. There we go. Looks very, very nice. It's a nice shape. It's a nice size. Very nice pen. There's one major issue with it, and this is essentially my learning from this. Because the cap is made of wood, I think it breathes. The nib dries out. And I'm not talking about drying out after 3 or 4 days. It literally dries out within minutes. It was so bad, it actually rendered the pen totally unusable to me, because what I'd have to do is literally every time I wanted to use it, even if it had been used a few minutes ago, I had to prime the feed. I've tried all sorts with it. I've tried shimming the tines. I checked to make sure everything was aligned. I even took a craft knife and to try and increase the wetness by scoring down the channels to try and make those. No matter what I did, I could not get the thing to write, or consistent. My biggest learning from this, it's a wooden pen, and yeah, wood breathed, I know that. Consequently, I'm not going to buy another wooden pen, even though I actually quite like the look of them. I think they look very, very nice. But if I'm going to have to fight with a pen, absolutely no use to me. Let's just quickly jump back. So BJ's, that Wood Conklin, BJ Lol, Will Hodge. Nice about Conklin is they take most number 6s. Exactly, that's why I swapped it, and I've took the Conklin nib out, which worked fine in another pen, and I've just put in this Jinhao nib. BJ wood breathes, yeah, completely agree with it. That's the issue, is I believe it's the wood breathing. I did look inside the cap. It looks like there is, again, it's very hard to show on camera. It looks like there is a liner in there, but it only goes maybe halfway to 3/4 of the way up. One of the things I may try at some time, I haven't done it yet, I may try seeing if I can coat the inside of the cap with maybe PVA glue or some kind of PVA coating to hopefully seal it. See if that makes a difference, but yeah, I don't know. Will, no cap liner. Yeah, as I say, it looks like it's about halfway down, and again, it's hard to actually get there to show you. It's just such a disappointing pen, which is a shame. Now, I have been sent another Conklin All-American by a viewer. That's in resin. No issues with that one. Very nice. Enjoy it. I purely put it down to the wood. So the learning from that, don't buy wooden pens. Another, again, not a mistake, but a learning. Very early on, I was buying lots and lots of ink samples. Like, I ended up with like maybe about 100 of them. And I was finding I just wasn't using them. The result was that the ink, I've still got samples from 2 years ago. And a few of them, when I've put them in a pen recently, there's been a lot of evaporation, so they've dried out a lot. And so the ink is very viscous and does cause flow issues. Again, I'm putting that down to the viscosity of the ink. Let me just move that mic out of the way a little bit. Today's mug, it's the Batman. And what am I drinking? I think it's... what am I drinking today? Chamomile and vanilla and honey. Nice tea. Keep my vocal cords going today. So yeah, so the ink samples, I bought too many. What I'm doing at the moment is, unless there's a specific reason to use a certain bottled ink, every time I fill a pen at the moment, I'm filling it with a sample because I want to get the number of samples down. I've got it down to about 50 now, so I've still got a little bit of a way to go, but we're slowly moving through them. The third thing is to do with paper. So initially, all the paper I had was Rhodia. So I was using the same type of paper. And one of the things I was finding is more so with like the broader nibs, they didn't seem to write very well on Rhodia. So I played around a bit. That's how I discovered the Oxford Optic paper, which I really like. But one of the lessons I learned is vary the paper. Don't use the same paper. The same pen and ink can work so differently on different papers depending on, is it coated or uncoated? How absorbent is it? Is there any texture to it? Is it very smooth? Is it cheap? Some cheap papers work really well. I'm going to just pull this out here. This is, I think I paid about $3 or $4 from it from the local supermarket. But none of it showed, no ink shows through no matter what I use. I'll go back, all the ink I've been using on this, I know it's upside down, looks and works really well. I've had another cheap notebook from the same supermarket. The paper's completely different. I had to stop using it because I don't know what it was. It was really causing problems with the pen. So that was another lesson I learned, vary the paper. So now I've got a number of different notebooks on the go. I say that one's a cheap one. I've got a Launch Term 1917, which is what I use for my bullet journal. I have, let's have a look. What have we got? Whatever this one is. This is a Leuchtturm 120 GSM. I'm not going to actually show you in it. That's where I do my daily reflection. My writing practice I'm doing is just a cheaper, I think it's like 25-50 cents, something like that, from the local supermarket, big box store. I think this is one's came out. It might be Big W, but I think it's came out. That's what I'm using for my writing practice. You know, again, it's fairly nice paper for something so cheap. I always keep blotting paper in all my notebooks. Then I've got my Oxford paper. Got a number of different ones on the go for depending what I'm doing. I use Tomoe River paper. I've got 52 GSM Tomoe River paper, and I've also got 68 GSM paper. So I do try using lots of different papers. So that was something else I learned. You know, vary not just the pen, not just the ink, but the paper as well. Another lesson I learned, this was only about 6 months ago. When I'm cleaning pens, I have a plug hole cover. Why I'm saying this is I had a cheap Parker pen with a fairly small nib, and again, it was fairly new to me. It was bought from a flea market. I was cleaning it out. I pulled out the nib and feed to give it a clean. The nib fell out of my hand and went down the plug hole. Fortunately, I had a pen that I don't really use because it's too small for me. I was able to swap the nib over. But what I learned there is have a plug hole cover so that if a nib drops, it doesn't go straight down the plug hole. It gets captured, and then obviously, you know, you've rescued it. So got a plug hole cover. I don't know, they were about $3. So that sat there. So now whenever I'm cleaning out a pen, that's the first thing that goes in. The next thing, or really the last one I've got on my list, is this. This is a Pen BBS 487. Love the looks of this pen. This is corduroy. Holds a massive amount of ink. This pen is one of their experimental filling systems. So it's a magnetic filler. The idea is you put it on there, drag it down. That drags down this plunger. Well, not plunger. Drags down the magnetic part in here. And then you drag it back up. That creates the vacuum and sucks up the ink. Don't work. It's an experimental thing they were trying. The lesson I learned from that, you know, really, don't try them experimental ones. The other issue, I've had another issue with this. I don't know if you can see here. There was a screw-in cap there which screwed into the top to seal it. I don't know how it came out, but it came out and it's vanished. So what I've done, I need to put a bit more in. I've actually just put glue in there and sealed it with glue. Doesn't really make any difference because where this plunger is, because it's so tight, that seals it anyway. Now, the other thing, this is something I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. Got an issue here. I think it was actually my wrap-up video from Friday. See where there's ink trapped. Now, I had pulled out the nib and feed, but there's still ink trapped there. And somebody said to me, well, it just unscrews. Miss Marilyn Darling and there was another person. Both said that. So I haven't tried it yet. I thought, let's do this on the live stream. So let's see, does it unscrew? Yes, it does. So hopefully, actually, no, it hasn't. All it's done is it's pulled out the nib and feed again. So there's a nib and feed. So I think I've still got the same issue that we've got something stuck between. Let me just try putting this in, see if it... Yeah. Now, I can unscrew the section, because this is how I put it. I unscrew the section and pop that in. And it doesn't look like there's any way to unscrew there. So I've got this ink trapped between essentially two layers of acrylic. Either that or it's a really deep red stain, which is a shame because, again, it's a lovely pen. And I will keep using it. It's just I have to be aware of now about it staining. Although it's a fine nib on this, it's very, very generous. It's more like a medium. Just pop this back together. Make sure they're lined up. There we go. So we're back together again. So they were the issues that I found, or so far. They're the things that I've learned. And I'm learning different things all the time. To me, every day, if I'm not learning something, there's something really wrong with me. Go back to these comments. There's quite a few comments. Use it as a dip pen instead. Yeah, I have thought about that. I said I swapped the nib out, so I've put the nib into... I actually swapped it with a Jinhao. So I've got a Conklin nib at the moment in a Jinhao pen. Writes okay there. So I just leave it like that. BJ might be able to seal with super glue. Again, yeah, I say I will try it, but I've just not really got round to it. Sorry, my throat's a little bit sore today, so I'm a bit croaky and I'm having to drink a fair bit. Andy, varnish rather than glue. Yeah, that might be worth trying. I just want something. It only needs to be a thin layer. Blonde Scales 1 hides my sample hoard. Yeah, that was my issue. I just had so many. I'm just going to grab the box. This is where I keep my samples in. You can see there, they're the ones that I've currently left. But it was, all of those were full. So I had quite a lot. So I'm slowly working down. I mean, what samples have I got? This one is a Robert Oster Cosmic Swirl. I'm just grabbing at random. Oh, another Robert Oster Evergreen. See if I can get something that isn't a Robert Oster. Pen BBS number 369 Christmas Green. Ooh, coming up to Christmas. I wonder if I use that one. Oh, do you know, every time I pick one out, they're all Robert Osters. Ancient Song, Fisherman's Song. So I've got loads still to try. So that's why I'm focusing on using samples at the moment. Hopefully get them down. BJ, thin CA glue works well for sealing wood. Cool, thank you. Let me make a note. Thin CA glue. I find if I don't write things down, I forget them. I'm getting very, very forgetful lately. Can be polished as well by BJ. Blonde Scales 1, variety of notebooks that I use. Yeah, that's what I've started doing. My desk notebook, this one here, this is by a company called Typo. It's like an Australian retailer. But I don't know if you can see, although I use both sides, there's a lot of ghost coming through. So it's not the best paper. I only use it for when I'm sat on my notes. When I'm sat on my notes, I only use it when I'm sat on my desk for doing stuff. Sorry, so I've got somewhere quick and easy where I can write stuff down. Hi Chaz, thank you for joining. Hope things are going well with you over there. Blonde Scales 1, hi Chaz, hi Blonde. Will Hodge, in the States I can find paper at dollar stores that's made in India or Vietnam. That can actually be nice. Yeah, I've seen a number of people. Is it Chris Sains? Goes on about some paper that she gets. I can't remember what the name of it was. Hard to find out actually where they're made at the moment when I look at notebooks. But I do, if I see a cheap notebook, I tend to pick it up because I thought, well, most of them are only a few dollars. So if it works, brilliant. If it doesn't work, well, I haven't lost that much. Sorry. Oh, I'm struggling today. Chaz, please do share. I'm trying to find a good economic notebook. Yeah, from here, I can't really recommend much in the way of the cheap ones because obviously they're like Australian retailers. So, but I bet the same notebook, maybe under a different name, is for sale somewhere in the States. BG, I've missed a couple of shows away from my birthday. Picked up a custom 823 and fine for my birthday. Awesome. I love my 823. Here's mine. I've actually been using it this week. It's virtually out of ink, so this will be getting cleaned out, I would reckon, maybe another 1 or 2 days. But congratulations on that. Blonde Scales 1. My current cheap notebooks are a Pen & Gear dot grid spiral bound from Walmart. My store currently has them on clearance for $2 US. That's awesome value. You know, when you can get a notebook for that price, Who wouldn't? I say a lot of the ones I get, maybe $2-3. I'm eyeing up another one. It's a new one just come into Coles, which is a local supermarket chain. So I'm been eyeing that one up, but fortunately it's a sealed pack. I like to be able to feel the paper to see what it feels like. That gives me a rough idea. But I may end up buying that anyway. Anyway. BJ Pen Gear Heavyweight Paper is solid. So there's another one to look for. Blonde doesn't bleed shirt onto the back page. Ricardo, the collar must be very tight or the plastic rings are messed up inside that pen BBS. Yeah, I don't know if there is a collar on this one. I need to... I pulled it out. Let's just pull it out again. And I can't see anything. I know, very difficult. But it doesn't look like there's a collar in there at all. So I don't know, maybe again, it's because I know this was an experimental one with a filling system. Maybe they tried something different with the with the section. But I will dig into that a bit more. Blonde scales 1. I haven't noticed any, but I do tend to use fine nibs. Can't say how a broad might work. I use broad nibs, so that's why I know that I get this bleed. Just look at this back page there. That's the current page I'm on. This blue, although that was me doodling. Sometimes when I'm bored I do doodle, and that does often go through, but even gone through onto the next page. But I don't know if the price is still on here. I got this when it was reduced. It was on offer. Normal price is $9.99, and I think I paid something like $2 or $3 for it, and it's a fairly thick book. It might last me up to a year, the amount of notes I actually take on a day-to-day basis, but it's always handy to have. Chaz, thanks, Blondes. Blonde scales 1 noticed. Let me see how I can refresh this. I've got to remember there's a way to do it. There's some funky magic. And there we go. Chaz, thanks, Garry. Blonde scales 1. I just have to wait for back to school overstock to go on clearance. Do you know, I'm struggling with this. Will Hodge, you can always be cheeky and take a pocket pen and try the paper out as you're browsing in the store. Yeah, that'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? I do have my... I've just finished the pocket pen. We'll talk about that in a minute. The Prera. I do have... I've got a Faco Sport inked up at the moment, which is what I use when I go out and about. Let's see any more comments, and we'll move on to the next section. Okay, let's switch over to the iPhone camera. So here's my top-down view. This is where we take a look at the pens that I've been using this week. Just a very quick tour through them. So the first pen, this was from Sunday of last week, was the Marjon P136, which is a piston filler, and this has got a fine nib. Like this pen, it's a nice size. We have got here a little ink window. I struggle to use it. It's one of those ones. Let me see. Can I get it up here and get into focus? It's where it's like little stripes, so it's not a solid window. Get a rough idea though, that there's ink in there. So we've got here a Marjon P136. It's got a fine nib. Price-wise, you're looking at 37 Aussie dollars. And the ink in here is Herban Eclat de Saphir. Nice blue ink, this. It's fine nib. It's nice to try different nib sizes. My preference, as I've said a number of times at the moment, is for broads, and I quite like 1.1 stubs. But I do think it's important to try out different nib sizes, you know, to experiment, because otherwise, if you're using just the same, you get bored. And, you know, our tastes, you know, they change over time. When I started out, nearly 3 years ago now, I was mainly buying fines and extra fines. Then I migrated into the mediums, into the broads. You know, it may go the other way soon. You just never know. So that's the Marjon P136. The next pen, I can't write with this one. This one's out of ink. This is the Wingsung 698. This is the one with the 14 karat gold nib. So this pen, you know, you'd have seen in my videos, very sensitive to pressure. I've tried to reposition the nib when I was cleaning it out, but the nib won't reposition on the feed. It has to go in that position. Otherwise, as soon as you start writing with it, it just pushes in anyway. It's a nice enough pen. I say my complaint, the nib, but as long as you're aware of it, you know, you can get away with it. It's not too bad. Next up, we've got the Wingsung 699. Pilot Custom 823 copy or clone or near enough. Big difference. Here we've got a piston filler, whereas the 823 obviously is the vacuum filler. You can get a vacuum version of this, which I have had in the past. I don't know what it was. It broke the first time I used it. That's why when I replaced it, I got the piston filler. I had no issues with this one. We've got here a standard Jinhao nib. This is one, I may actually change this nib. I might put a broad nib in. I've got some Goulet broad nibs, which might look really nice in here. So we've got a Wingsung 699 with a medium nib. 38 Aussie dollars. By the way, the price on that 698, because it's a gold nib, was $81. The ink in here is by Ancient Song, and it's called Seaview. Again, it's another nice blue ink. I seem to be quite heavy on blues at the moment. I'm going through a bit of a blue phase. So we've got, you know, it's a paler blue, more of a blue rather than the sapphire blue of that Eclat de Saphir. Still very nice, and that medium nib performs really well. This pen, nearly out of ink. I wouldn't be surprised if I finish this pen this week. We now then go to a Jinhao 9019, one of my newer pens. This is in, like, I think they called it pale blue. Beautiful colour. I love the fact it's translucent. And I love this new converter they've got in here. Absolutely massive. Let me just unscrew. Takes a load of ink. I haven't measured the ink capacity. I need to get some more syringes so I can measure the ink capacities. That's something I'm going to look at doing next year. Number 8 size nib. This is a medium nib. So we've got here a Jinhao 9019 medium. It's a whopping expensive pen when you consider how big it is. 12 Aussie dollars. The ink, Noodlers, and it's Navajo turquoise. Again, bluish ink. Yeah, I know it's a turquoise, but still to me part of the blue family. One of the things I have noticed, didn't get here, but when I've been doing my writing, I do get the occasional skips. I'm going to look at pulling out the nib and feed, giving it a good clean, and I think I might pass a shim through the feed just to see if I can loosen it. Just to see if I can loosen the tines out. Just to see if I can loosen the tines up. That might hopefully make it a bit wetter as well. But still, nice pen. Love the size of this. It's a chunky beast. Very comfortable to use. The next pen that I finished, so I finished this during the week. This is a Pilot Pereira. I'll try and write with it, but I don't think there's any ink left in here. So a pocket pen, you know, as even there in the section, you can see all the ink's gone from there. I love being able to see through into the sections. I love these transparent pens. They look really nice. Got a cartridge converter in there. I'm not sure. The fittings, they're all plastic, so it might be something that I may try an eyedropper in the future. Not sure here though if that's sealed. That's just something I need to look at. It's a small pen. It's a pocket pen. Posted, it's not too bad. I do find it feels a bit thin, but it does put a really nice line. So what have we got here? This is a Pilot Pereira. We're getting a little bit out, aren't we? It's a Japanese medium nib. Price for this is 80 Aussie dollars. Not a cheap pen when you consider it comparing with the Chinese pens. The ink, Noodlers, and it's Apache Sunset. This is one of the ones. This is a sample. In fact, so far, on the Navajo turquoise, that's a bottle I've got of that. Just do that again and use a finger which doesn't have blue ink on it. Very nice, shades really well even from this medium nib. It's a nice pen. It's a pen when I first got it didn't like, but I'm finding that as time goes on I'm actually getting used to it and I'm starting to enjoy using it. Next up we've got from the UK a Mr. Pen, the Parsons Essential. Very nice, different size pen. It's black. Section a bit on the thin side, doesn't bother me. Converter there. What's different about this is the nib. So the nib on here, it's a Mr. Pen nib. I'm trying to fetch it up there. It's a medium oblique cursive nib. So not sure if you can see there, the bottom of the nib, see there's a slight slant to it. And one of the things I have to do with this is remember to get the orientation of the nib right. Otherwise, it's just really scratchy and horrible. So we've got here a Mr. Pen. So you can see there. Let me scribble off. Yeah. So we've got here, let me get the Mr. Pen. Once you get the right orientation, it writes beautifully and gives loads of line variation. And it's the Parsons Essential. There's a lot of feedback. It feels a bit scratchy. Beautiful it is. So it's a medium cursive. Is it italic? Medium oblique cursive. Price for this is 90 Aussie dollars. You can't buy them new anymore though. The guy that makes it, he closed down, I want to say it was September. It wasn't long ago, but he stopped selling it. I believe he was in his 70s. It was something he was doing in retirement. He used to sell a load of different nibs. I can't actually see the engraving on there, but it does tell you the name of the nib. I don't think he calls it Mr. Let me just get my loupe. My trusty loupe. Let's see what it says. Italics is what it says, so that's like the brand part that he has on it. The ink by Diamine Violet. I do find this pen, once you get that nib orientation right, it's absolutely beautiful. Very, very nice. And see loads of comments coming through. I will come back and have a look at those in a second. Sorry, just having another mouthful of water. My next pen, again, this is another one I've just finished during the week. This was a handmade pen that I bought from Fremantle Market. That's about 30 or 40k away from where I live. So we don't often go there. So it's a kit pen. You can very much see that. Very, very thin section, uncomfortably thin. There's a converter in there. The material is what makes this interesting. So he makes it himself, and what he says is he goes around, in the local area, and he gets different minerals and things like that. So, you might have some like soily minerals, some rocks that ground up, sand and stuff, and then he uses that to make the resin. So very Western Australian resin in there as well. Was it right? No, it's out of ink. The ink that I had in here was Robert Oster Australis. So very nice, beautiful, like a, oh, pardon me. I want to say like an orangey brown colour. Quite nice. But yeah, handmade pen. 99 Aussie dollars for this, but it also comes with a ballpoint. So you could say maybe $50. I didn't want the ballpoint, but he sells them as a pack. So I've got, I'm calling this as being a $99 pen because the ballpoint has never been written with yet. Next up, we've got the Conklin Durograph. Beautiful, like forest green colour here. Love the colour of this. Medium nib on this, so there's the Conklin nib. And this one, we've got, again, not a lot of ink left in there. That'll definitely run out during the week. That's the whole idea of this month. It's use me up. So I want to be using up my pens. Although I'm giving you a taster of Tuesday's video because most of these are in Tuesday's video. So this is the Conklin. Durograph. The section feels a little bit on the thin side to me. Not uncomfortably so, but I do notice it. It's a medium nib. I priced these up and they were priced up at 135 Aussie dollars. The ink is by Pilot. It's a Roshizuku Shinryoku. Beautiful green ink. Very nice. Now, I do have an issue with this. Is as I'm writing, there's an ink flow issue. It just stops writing. A couple of shakes like that is enough to get it going again. So that's something, again, I need to look at. What I'll do is once this is empty, I'll pull the nib and feed, give that a really good clean, reposition that. Hopefully that might solve the issue. They were the main pens that I've been using this week. Now, if you watch my shorts, you'll see that I've got a second pen that I've been using. So in my shorts where I put my comment, or where I do my quotes, what I do is I do the quote in whatever the pen of the day is. And then for most of them, I put my thought, or the initial thought that I have when I'm reading that quote. So the idea is I'm trying to be thoughtful about what the quote means as well. So my thought I write in this at the moment. This is the Pilot Custom 823. Beautiful pen. Pilot Custom 823. And it's got a broad nib. This is the most expensive pen in my collection. 521 Aussie dollars when I priced it a few weeks ago. The ink is by Diamine. And it's Tobacco Sunburst. This is nearly out of ink. You can see there's a little tiny bit. So again, I'm expecting this to run out during the week. I'm not going to refill it, so that'll be cleaned out and put away. If it's like the last time I've done that, it might only be for a week, but it'll be cleaned out and put away and given a little bit of a rest for a while. So that's a Pilot Custom 823. And then today's pen. So the pen I'm using for my note taking today. This is the Leonardo Ferrari. This is in white salt. Love the colour of this. Love the way it looks. Very nice pen. Captured converter. So loads of ink left in here. So this one, I'm hoping this one will last me out the month. Comfortable pen. I love this Leonardo section. It's a shame they've stopped doing it because a lot of pens now got that more concave section. I really find this comfy, but I hold my pens down quite low. So this is a Leonardo Ferrari. It's got a 1.1 nib on it. Price wise, 251 Australian dollars. The ink by Diamine, and it's a Red Dragon. This is an ink really like my favourite red ink at the moment. So that's the pens and the inks I've been using this week. Let's jump on back and take a look at the comments. So, we pop this away. Oh, loads of new comments to go through. Let's go find the first one. Which pen and ink did you use to write the title? So let me go back to there. So that title there, let me just grab it out of my pen case. I've got a Lamy AL Star or All Star here. This has got a 1.5 stub on it, and this is what I tend to use for my titles. The ink in here is actually the same as the one in the Parsons Essential. It's Diamine Violet. Actually, let me just double check that. I might be telling you a lie. I think it's Diamine Violet. So I'm just nipping into my database. Oh, no, it's not. It's Robert Oster Cosmic Swirl. I don't know why I keep getting them mixed up. So Robert Oster Cosmic Swirl, which is one of the samples that I've got. Nice purple ink. Normally, I do keep like a sheening ink in here, but I thought I'd try something different. BJ, I just picked up some Eclat de Saphir. It's nice. It's quite a nice ink. I'm torn between that and Diamine Sapphire Blue, which is my preference. But at the moment, I tend to be using Eclipse Sapphire a lot. BJ, it's nice purplish blue. Exactly. Very, very nice. Blonde Scales 1. While cleaning my Bennu Talisman, I discovered that the nib units drew out. Now I want to get some different size nibs for the pen. Yeah, I like that about the Talisman. So what I do is every time I clean it, I just unscrew that and give it a good clean. I normally pass it through my sonic cleaner as well, so it gets a real good deep clean. Blonde Scales 1. Tom Morley. Several US sellers carry the Schmidt nib units that fit the Bennus. I've got a few pens now with Schmidt nibs. I actually quite like them. To me, there's a nice bit of feedback to them. Let me just scroll on down. Blonde Scales 1, can you tell me who? I can see there might be some comments further down there. BJ, how does the 9019 compare to the X159? They are quite different. Have I got an X159 handy? Let me just pull it out from my pen case. I think it's in this one. X159, here we go. Nice thing about having everything handy. So here are the two side by side. So I would say the 9019 ever so slightly longer and also girthier. Let's look at the sections. Yeah, even the sections are girthier. I am planning to do a comparison between the two. Won't be till next year, but so I can use the 9019 a bit more. But I'm planning to do a comparison between the two, just to actually explore that question in a bit more detail. Tom Morley, Gold Spot Jet Pens. Thanks from Blonde Scales. BJ, Jet Pens carries some Schmidt nib modules. Yep, Jet Pens. Mr. Sips, just got one of the 9019s myself. I love the Chunky Beast. I do. I think it's really, really nice. Now, obviously, because I'm an ancient old fogey, I do have a little bit of issues with arthritis in my fingers. And I find that is just so nice to use, that 9019. I think the extra girth just means I'm not squashing my fingers together as much. Makes a big difference. Blonde Scales 1, I like Jet Pens. Tom Morley, Jet Pens are great. They also have a great selection of Japanese mechanical pencils. Also a great selection of paper. I believe Jet Pens, they do quite a lot of interesting videos as well on YouTube. I'm sure I've seen them. Blonde Scales 1, yes. BJ, the 823. Pen love of my life. Yeah, that 823 is very nice. My biggest issue with it, and I know it's all in my head, because it's so expensive. I mean, it's a very nice, attractive pen. I'd be very, very, very upset if I lost it. So what I tend to do is when I'm going out of the house, I don't take it. I just use it at my desk at home, which in one respect is a shame because I love using the pen. But I say, there's no way I could afford another $521 to replace it. And, it was a gift from my wife a couple of years ago for Christmas. And I'd be gutted to lose it. So, yeah, that's why this one, it's a desk pen for me. Wool Hodge, so far my favourite Sailor 1911 large Wicked Witch medium nib. Writes wet and very nice. I've only got one, I've got a couple of Sailors, but I've only got one gold nibbed, which is the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. Again, when I look at the price of them, I know it sounds stupid, it's a price that puts me off. That's Skinflint Garry. I would like to get one eventually, but yeah, I just look at the price and I think, oh, that's a lot of money. Especially when, like this year, where I've been focusing on the Australian pens. Beautiful pens, beautiful writing pens, beautiful looking pens, beautiful fit in the hand, Australian made. And because they're handmade, they're fairly unique. Even with resin, no two resins are exactly the same. And it's that what attracts me. It's that uniqueness, that beauty. And as I say, Australian made. BJ, only drawback of an 823 is it takes forever to write one day. Sorry. Do you know, I need to get my eyes retested. I can't hardly read this. Only drawback of an 823 is it takes forever to write one dry and to try new ink in it. Yeah, that is an issue. What I tend to do, again, just the way I do it, when I fill it, I only try to half fill it, so it's not too bad. That way, it's not going to take as long to write dry, as you say. I've had this inked up for about a month, and I say it's nearly out now. But it's a pen I do use virtually every single day. Wool Hodge for a lovely blue-purple ink. Try Diamine Bilberry. Diamine Bilberry. Where's my pen? I put it over there. Diamine Bilberry. So I'm writing that down. That will go onto my list of inks for future purchase. I'm currently on an ink buying freeze from the wife. So that's going to be taking a while before I can actually buy any more bottles, but I'll put that onto the list. While we're talking about ink, should have mentioned this at the start. I got this package. It arrived during the week. Here's my ink vent calendar for this year. It's the only ink I've been permitted to buy this year. Just wrap that back up. So I've now got everything there ready to do my ink vent series, which will be starting on the 1st of December. So I'll be doing, not YouTube shorts, but I'll be doing shortish videos, aiming between 5 and 10 minutes long. There'll be one each day. And essentially, I'll be opening up the ink vent calendar. I'll be swatching the ink. I'll actually do a quick chromatography strip, which will all be edited out actually doing it. I've already got it. I've got an advent calendar so we'll be opening up the advent calendar. The chocolate from that goes to my wife because although I'm fairly chunky, I don't actually eat chocolate. So that will be going to the wife. And then also my wife, she's told me she's got all the presents ready, all the gifts ready that she gives me. So there'll be one a day of a stationery or some of my hobby-related things where we'll be opening that as well. That's it. The idea between 8 and 10 minutes, just looking at the ink vent and just some little, a little bit of fun stuff to do during the ink vent period rather than just focusing purely on the ink. So that's something that, now I've got everything ready, I can start actually scheduling and planning my videos. Back to the comments. BJ, damn, the 9019 is bigger than the X15. That's surprising. It's not that much bigger. When I do my proper comparison, I will use my calipers. So I've got a set of calipers here. You don't actually see me using these on screen. I do it all off screen. So this is what I use to actually do my measurements. So I'll be doing measurements and everything, which will then be able to compare them better. Carpal tunnel is no fun. I know what you mean. I've got carpal tunnel in my left hand, not my right hand. I'm actually seeing a consultant in a couple of weeks to look at having an operation on it to try and sort that out a bit. Blonde Scales 1 got mine this week too. Yeah, I think there's quite a lot. I saw Miss Marilyn Darling had put a photo of hers come in. I think Chris Robinson said his has arrived. So quite a lot of people have been, seeing that they've come. Wool Hodge, I own a few Mike Green and Jim Hines pens. They are pen turners that use amazing acrylic resins. Yeah, I think that I've been following the Hines ones. I'm looking at the moment as to what to use for my theme for next year for buying pens. So like this year, my theme's been Australian-made pens. I was toying with the idea of doing either I had it down to two choices, either Britain or Ireland was choice one, or choice two was going to be the States and Canada. I've been looking at prices. The exchange rate, the Australian dollar is very, very weak. So the exchange rate is horrendous at the moment. So, I was looking at like UK pens, and to buy a UK handmade pen, I'd when I worked it out, is going to be between $400 and $500 for one pen. I can buy an Australian handmade pen for under $200. So I think I'll be carrying on my Australian theme next year. There are a number of other Australian makers out there that do handmade pens that I haven't got any pens from. So that's my current plan, is carry on with Australia. If the exchange rate recovers, if the currency recovers and we get a better exchange rate, then yeah, I will switch to, I say, more than likely Britain and Ireland. But, I have been looking at the States. So Mike Hines is one I've been following. What's the other one? Oh, it's gone out of my head. Franklin Christoph was another one, I think it was. There's quite a few there. The London Pen Co., I know he's in Canada. So there's quite a few I want to actually get pens from eventually, but just want to wait for that exchange rate issue. All right, let's see. Are there any more comments? Up and then go back down. Chris Robinson, confirming there his ink vent's arrived. BJ, jealous of the ink vent, had to pass it up this year in favour of the custom 823 and fine for my birthday splurge. I've got to be honest, I don't blame you. I think if I was given the choice of the two, I'd have gone for the 823 as well. Looking forward to ink vent. Again, the problem is I've been doing these ink vents now. This will be the third year. I still haven't emptied one of the little bottles. I need to start focusing. Once I've got rid of them samples, then focusing on using up the ink vent ones as well, I think. Maybe cheap oddball pens. That's a good idea. Pen. Cheap oddball pens. Theme for 2024. Just made a note of that. I say if I don't write it down, I'll forget it. Chris, I've also got a full range of inks from an Indian company on the way. Should be here in November sometime. Be interesting to see how they go, and be interesting what the company is. As I say, I personally am on an ink buying freeze, so won't be buying any inks until I say I've got to use them damned samples up. Then once they're gone, I've still got about 60 ink bottles to get through. It's not so much a mistake, but when I first started, I bought loads and loads of inks, different colours, blues. I've got that many different shades of blue, especially with diamine inks, because diamine inks are so cheap. Let me just refresh the comments again. Wool Hodge, support those local pen turners. Yeah, I mean, I've got the new one, but I won't show you that. I know I showed it very quickly last week. I filmed a first impressions of a new one during the week. It comes out, I think it's the 2nd of November. Oh, beautiful pen. BJ looked forward to the reviews of the special inks. Blonde Scales 1 got my birthday ink samples from Goulet. Yeah, I love watching the Goulet videos. I think they're so good. They're so fun. My 823 actually I bought that from Goulet. Right, so let's look at the videos. So what have we had come out this week? Got my script again. So last week's video, last Sunday, we had our fountain pen focus on the Waterman Carène. Again, it's a pen. All I can say is, wow, it's so elegant. Tuesday, I had the first impressions of the Jinhao 9019. I'm going to be using this during the rest of the month as well. Friday's video, that was the wrap-up of October. So again, just discussing how I went on with the pens and ranking them. I was a bit surprised with the ranking. Surprised myself a little bit because a pen I thought would have come in near number 1 didn't, which was, a bit of a shock. But when I'm ranking them, I try to be as honest as I can with what's going on. Yesterday's video over on Tricky Little Questions, that was the quiz time. That was the photo quizzes. Videos coming up this week. I've got my first impressions of a Jinhao 100 skeleton. Just get from my pen case. Oops, if I can avoid dropping the pen case. So here we have Jinhao 100 skeleton. That'll be my first impression on that this afternoon. deliberately had this for a few weeks now. I was sent it as a gift, and I've had it sat there waiting to do the review or the first impressions, because I thought with Halloween coming up, so this is essentially my Halloween video. Tuesday, which is actually Halloween, is going to be where I introduce the pens I'm going to be using this month. So this month, or November, it's a Use Me Up month. You may have an idea of the pens I'm using because you may have already seen most of them. The whole idea of that month, though, is I don't fill a single pen unless I need to fill it to film one of my videos. It's all about using up pens that are currently there. On Friday is going to be my top 3 ink brands. I haven't actually filmed this. I'm going to be filming it on Wednesday. The idea is I'm just going to go quickly through my top 3, the 3 ones that I enjoy the most. Oh, sorry. And then show some example links that I've got, some of my example swatches. Next Saturday on Tricky Little Questions, bit quite handy for what's been going on with me today. Looking at why do we sneeze? What causes us to sneeze? Why do we do it? So that's going to be Saturday next week. And then next Sunday, as I said, it's Sunday the 5th, not Sunday the 2nd. I'll give you a quick sneak peek of it again. First impressions of this handmade pen from that pen bloke here in Australia. Wow is all I can say. And I really enjoyed filming that. Very nice. It's filmed, it's ready to go. So that'll be coming out next Sunday. Book-wise, so what have I been reading? So I finished off Terry Pratchett's Guards. That's where we first meet Captain Vimes, and we first meet the Watch and Carrot. I've got to be honest, I know Vimes is meant to be the central one, but Carrot's the character I enjoyed most in that. Just is very simple way of thinking, very enjoyed it. And then only last night I started reading Terry Pratchett Eric. This is the return of Rincewind. I think it's his shortest book. It's 150 pages. So it's going to be a quick read. Once I've finished that, I'll be going back and doing another Terry Goodkind. I think it's The Naked Empire. And I'm getting near the end of the books that I've already read. But yeah, I think it's The Naked Empire. So that'll be getting started during the week. So that's the books and the videos. Let's go back to the comments. Blonde Scales 1, a 30ml bottle of Diamine from Cult Pens is not much more than a 2 or 4mm. Do you know, that's better, I can read it now. 30ml bottle of Diamine from Cult Pens, not much more than a 2 or 4ml ink sample from a US seller. That's exactly why I've got so many. They are, as you say, roughly the same price as buying a sample. I think the average price I paid was something like $4 for a 30ml bottle. Something like that. Let me just go and check. I'll just go and quickly pull one up in my database. So an example is Diamine Blaze Orange. Yeah, I paid $40 for it. And all I do is when I'm going to buy something from Cult Pens, I stack them up because obviously shipping from the UK to Australia would be expensive. So I stack up my purchases so that I reach the free postage. So it doesn't cost me anything for postage. So, normally I would be buying 2 or 3 pens and then I would buy half a dozen inks. That's how I've ended up with all the Diamine inks that I've got. Diamine inks may or may not be focused on Friday's video. So you have to check that one out to see. BJ, that's beautiful hand. It is very, very pretty. And it was an experimental resin that he made. So the actual resin is fairly unique as well. Will Hodge, nice, lovely pen. Looking forward to that. It is, and it writes beautifully. Like most of the handmade pens, it's a Yoho nib. So, the nibs are fairly standard. But I say, you'll see when I review it. Very, very nice. Came in a gorgeous pen kimono. Let me just reach it. Came in this as well. Also very nice. And I'm not sure if he makes them himself as well. It's got his logo on there. So certainly I'm intending to get some more pens from that pen bloke. Any more comments? It's a bit of a nuisance how I have to get these. Blonde Scales 1, I go for free shipping 2. BJ, free shipping for the win. I don't know what I've just done there. BJ, I seem to have somehow deleted your messages, and I don't know how I've done that. Stupid, damned, silly YouTube. So I'm not sure, BJ. Do you want to try adding in another quick message, and I'll see if it comes through? I know people are seeing things popping in and out. Hopefully we'll get a message from BJ shortly just to test it. Wool Hodge, most pen turners here use Yoho and Bock nib sections. I want to get one with a Bock nib to try it. I've got two Bock nibs, but they came on the Moonman M800. So I do keep looking for a hand maker which uses Bock, but over here they all tend to be over here they all tend to be Yoho. I'm just not sure what I've done, BJ. I don't know if you've been able to put another comment on, but I'm not seeing it come through in the chat. Oh, yeah, LOL Computers, we are. You're back online. Excellent. Anyway, after that little bit of excitement, let's just see, are there any more comments? No, we haven't got any more. So thank you all for your time. We're just about on the hour, which is good. I want to try and hopefully get under an hour, but when I start talking, you can't shut me up. So thank you all. Blonde Scales 1 view, it wasn't my imagination that some comments proved. Yeah, I'm not sure what I did. I blame the YouTube gods. Yeah, computers, if only they were as trustworthy as a pen. Yeah, absolutely. This is what I've been saying to people. They say to me, but Garry, you're all IT focused. Everything you do is IT. But you use fountain pens. I do. I love using them. And you can't beat them. They just work. Anyway, thank you all for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. Any ideas, any thoughts on things you'd like me to cover in the future, please drop in a comment in the actual video, or I'll leave the chat open for a couple of minutes. Looking forward to, I'd say, starting to explore that Inkvent calendar a bit. I haven't actually even opened it yet, so I don't even know what the inks are. I may have a sneak peek and look at what the inks are. So thank you all, and I'll talk to you again soon.